little infants in Capitol Hill. They call them politicians, and they're very immature and very stupid and not very financially intelligent. And so right now they are fighting again, like the little children they are. And of course, the stakes are high. They're looking to destroy the lives of the American people. That's kind of what they're good at. And so this now this particular shutdown is of great interest to me, largely because I kind of think that there is something to this this negotiating style. I feel like this year's going to be a little bit different, almost as if there are people in the government that want to shut down uh, the government. I think that there are people that want to see this kind of happen, larger for negotiation purposes, maybe for something more sinister. I don't know, but it's something worth paying attention to and looking at so that you don't get sort of stuck in the mix of this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you. Uh-oh. Give me a second. I'm going to give you guys some insights in terms of how to sort of view this and how to prepare and just kind of what to do, like so that you can make sound investing decisions. And I'll base it on research and history and things like that. And so let's get it cracking. Okay, so first off, I did some research on government shutdowns, and I think there's been about 21 or 22 in the last few years, and so this does happen a lot. The longest government shutdown, I believe, was 2018. And here's what tends to occur. This is, if you want to know how I'm going to handle the government shutdown, here is what I'm going to do. I am going to I'm going to wait for the dip and then I'm going to buy the dip, right? And basically, I am going to do that because all the history shows that the government being pushed to the brink tends to be a negative on the stock market. That fear and anxiety kicks in, prices go down. You can buy a lot of stocks cheaply that way, 100%. So if you say like, what if the government shuts down? One of the things that you can do to give yourself an advantage over other investors is to not freak out and to stay cool. In fact, buying into that headwind of a market drop is one of the easiest and simplest ways for people to get rich because so many people don't do it. So many people, imagine it's almost like like I went to the gym this morning and imagine if somebody like gave us money for going to the gym, right? And you benefit from going to the gym by losing weight and being in shape. But imagine if you got paid to just show up at the gym and spend 30 minutes of your day doing something that is going to be physically healthy for yourself. That would be pretty amazing, right? And I compare that to investing in the stock market. It's easy to do. Like just like it's easy for me to go spend 20, 30 minutes at the gym. I did it real quick and it makes a big difference. Like my whenever I see my friends, they always freak out because they I got all these muscles and stuff now, and it literally comes from very basic effort, very basic transformational, consistent effort. Nothing massive, nothing like the guy sat and he tried to sell me all these extra services. Like, well, we have classes. I'm like, I don't want none. We have this special package where you can get this special treatment for ice and. I don't want that. We could do a body scan to measure your body fat to make sure you can precisely. I don't want to. You talk to my wife. She's the real MVP when it comes to like being like an absolute beast in the gym. I'm not that guy. I said I have a simple contract with myself, and my simple fitness contract is take a fat ass to the gym 3 times a week, do at least 30 minutes, 3 days a week, do some cardio, like and do a walk run for 3 miles. That's it. I don't, and it's more walk than it is run. It's not run walk. Don't make sure you don't say it wrong. It's walk run, right? The walk is a capital W, capital A, capital L, capital K. The run is in fine print. It's like, yeah, he did. We saw him run a little bit, and but he wasn't really running. I ran into a brother yesterday who happened to live in my neighborhood, and he wanted to ask me. He literally, I think he comes to class. He literally stops on his moped. And I thought he was gonna like beat me up or something and take my money. I did. I'm like, what's going down? We about to get into some gangster shit. And no, he wanted to say hi, and we talked for a minute. I'm kidding. He was a nice guy, and I wasn't running when he came up. He didn't identify me as a runner. I was pretending to be a runner, but really I was a walker, right? So long story short, my point is, let's get back to the investing instead of me telling you stupid stories. But the point is that I lost a ton of weight and I really gained a physique I'm quite proud of, literally by doing very little things, very small things, right? So with investing, just do the small things. Stop trying to do the big things. Stop trying to become a master investor. Stop trying to take a million classes. Stop overwhelming yourself with tons of information that you don't need. I've done all that. That's what my PhD is for. I went through the torture of the PhD so you don't have to, because the benefit of going through all the things is you get to the point where you're like, okay, what are the two or three things that a person needs to do to be rich? Put money in an S&P 500 index fund, do it consistently, don't sell your assets. You do that consistently for 10 years, you're rich. You're better than 90% of all Americans. Be consistent. That's what the 5-year pledge is built on. It's a simple idea that can be implemented on a family level that's going to make a massive difference for your family. So if you want to join the 5-year pledge, just text the word pledge to the number 87948, and you'll get a free training I did on exchange traded funds that can help you in your journey. So feel free to text pledge to 87948. Now, another thing about this possible downturn in terms of Trump and shutting down the government is I feel like this time could be just a little different, just because it's almost like I feel like they're eager to do it, right? And I think that that's going to add to the fact that the longest shutdown ever, I think, was also in the Trump administration the first time. Yeah, 2018, I believe. And also, this is in the backdrop of all the jobs that have already been lost. As you know, a lot of black people, particularly black women, got hit hard with the jobs that were lost. This is a very real thing. And so this shutdown, there's no telling what it could end up looking like. They like to push each other to the brink. As they get closer to the brink, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a dip in the markets. Now, what is also true, though, is that the market is kind of used to watching children act like children. So they kind of have this attitude that's like, yeah, 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 they're gonna get close to the brink, and then they're gonna be fine and come out with a last minute deal. But they may not, right? And then so that would be an opportunity for you, in my opinion. So if they don't have a deal and they do shut down the government, that will probably lead to some sort of dip in the stock market, maybe 2, 5, 10%, whatever. And the longer it lasts, the more the dip will go, because the dip will create uncertainty. Uncertainty is the devil when it comes to investing. Uncertainty causes all the prices to drop, because the mathematics in terms of where stock prices comes from are set up in such a way that when uncertainty goes up, that's risk. Uncertainty is risk. Risk is part of risk is like just the unknown. Like we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what we're going to do next. And humans react really weirdly when it comes to risk. Human beings have a hard time with that. Human beings freak out and they run and they sell, and I was listening to a Barron Streetwise podcast today, and I heard some guy who was basically saying something that I've known since grad school, which is that if you want to make money, you have to like suck it up and buy into the headwind. You buy when everyone else is scared. That's the best time to buy. You don't. So if you are a person that follows the crowd, then you're going to lose in investing. Right? Because the crowd does it wrong. That's why so many people are struggling. That's why so many people are afraid to invest. And so but if you want to be smart, don't follow the crowd. Do the opposite of what the crowd is doing. Warren Buffett used to say, you should be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. It's really as simple as that. Now, one thing I want to do is some of you didn't get a chance to see. If you go to my Instagram page, Dr. Boyce Finance, first off, I did an analysis of a couple of stocks that I like a lot right now. So if you're looking for some other information on things that I consider to be worth buying, or what I'm sort of looking at, feel free to follow me. Go to my Instagram. It's Dr. Boyce Finance. And I played this Black Wall Street song yesterday, and a lot of you liked it, and some of you didn't hear it. So I'm going to play it again so you guys can hear it. And I want you to give me a yes if it just because I just think I listened to it a couple of times. It kind of grows on you, and I think it might. Who knows? Maybe it could be like our little theme song. So anyway, let me play this Black Wall Street song and let me know if you can hear it. And it comes with like a little video, and I think I like it because it inspires me in terms of who we used to be and who we can be and what we supposed to be. Like, before we were thugging and twerking, like you just, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I get real excited when I see black people dressed in business suits, and the ladies looking like ladies, and and just the families looking like families, and I just think that's really who we are. And so there's something about what our ancestors and elders got a chance to witness before integration, before affirmative action, and corporate jobs and student loans. Not that those things are bad, it's life, but I really like that idea of getting back to family, community, love, and just mutual support. So anyway, I'll play the video. It's only gonna take like 60 seconds. So here it is. All right.
In Tulsa 1921, the scene was lit. Black Wall Street thriving, everybody getting rich. Doctors, lawyers, business booming in the town. A whole black city building wealth from the ground. But envy sparked fire, hate came with the flame. Planes dropped bombs, streets never looked the same. 35 blocks gone, dreams turn to dust. But you can't kill a people with resilience and trust. From the ashes we rise, can't erase our name. Black Wall Street lives still burning like a flame. We build, we invest, we gon' claim what's ours. Black wealth, black power, reaching for the stars. Families lost business, homes torn apart, but the spirit of ownership stayed in the heart. It's a blueprint for us, a lesson to learn. Circulate the dollar, let the wealth return. Buy land, buy stocks, teach the youth to save. Pass it down strong from the cradle to the grave. Economics is power, unity is the key. If we did it back then, imagine now what we'd be. From the ashes we rise, can't erase our name. Black Wall Street lives still burning like a flame. We build, we invest, we gon' claim what's ours. Black wealth, black power, reaching for the stars.
Love that song. I liked it when I first heard it. I liked it, and then I kept on listening to it. I was like, "This is great. This song it's inspirational." And the other thing too that I thought was really cool about it was like if you go back to the part where there's like I want to show you. I'm gonna see if I can find it in the video. There's like a part where there's like a family. Like there's the mother, the father, and the baby, and they're all walking into the bank or something like that. And I really just I looked at that picture and I said, gosh, I thought about like the child. The child feels safe and secure because he's got two financially stable parents and they love each other and they're giving him that emotional safety and security that I think is so important. And then I said the woman feels good because she's got this solid, strong husband who's gonna do all husbandy things and provide and these beautiful children, and then the father, I just imagine how he would feel just with knowing that he's got this support from a loving wife and he's got these beautiful children and he owns land and property and he's got this legacy. He's educated, he's powerful, right? Like look at that. Like look at that picture, right? The children are like they don't have to live in any kind of some sort of concrete jungle, urban nightmare with horrible things happening by the time they're 9 years old. They're literally getting this sort of beautiful privilege that was created by their parents, creating like a protective layer around them before they got here. And it's to me it's awesome, right? The man stands proudly and his back straight and his head's up and he's educated, he's got this beautiful family, he's got this amazing legacy. Like to me that's sturdy, like that's solid, that's so solid. And I think that's a great representation of what we are, right? That defeats the deficit model. The deficit model just says, you're black, you're nothing, and then, until you can buy yourself a Gucci belt or get a white man to hire you for a job, and and whatever, or trade your family in so you can have some career, right? Like just that idea. I talked to my daughter about that today. I took her to school, and I said, I said I don't really know. I don't know when we decided that a job was more important than like having kids and all this other. That's really like a psyop from capitalism. Like we need more workers, so we're just gonna convince you that going to work is the most important thing you could be doing, and you don't even like going to work, and but you've dedicated your life to it. I think that's a little bit weird. And so anyway, one thing that we that's gonna happen, the Black Business School is not doing this, but As you know, my brother Lawrence, he works in private equity and with wealthy investors. A lot, and he's literally helping to fund major Black projects that are pretty extraordinary. They're hosting a digital Black family conference in October. I don't have the date in front of me. I want to say it's maybe around October 10th or something like that. I agreed to be a speaker there, and he also agreed to let everybody in this space in for free. And so the focus is legacy building, things like estate planning, anything that Black families need to be financially strong. That's what they're going to basically go through and work through. And so he's got all these amazing people coming in. So if you want to be a part of that, you can actually go to blackfamilyconference.com, blackfamilyconference.com. And a lot of his work is built on the principles of people like Marcus Garvey, Booker T. Washington, et cetera. So feel free to go to blackfamilyconference.com and you can sign up. And it's free to anybody in this space. So and I'll be there as well. So blackfamilyconference.com. Somebody type that in the chat, please, if you can. Um, Now, one thing I want to talk about as well is as I was sort of looking at the economy and the markets right now, a big question that I've had is, will this trend continue? The market's been doing so well. A lot of you have been making money. Don't lie. If you've been investing, I know you've been making money, so don't even pretend like you haven't. Um, and so the question is it going to continue? And the answer is, for the most part, yes, actually. There are lots of people who believe it's going to continue. And but at the same time, if you believe it's not going to continue, that's still not a reason to walk away. It just isn't. Sometimes you just gotta thug it out. That's my daughter uses that term now. Apparently that's a teenager thing, thug it out. But so anyway, with that being said, just because you thug it out though doesn't mean you can't protect on the downside. So I sent you all that list of bond funds that you can invest in that would give you a little bit more downside protection. That these are the kinds of assets that would remain relatively stable in the event of a downturn. And I sent that out to you guys yesterday. If you didn't get it, make sure you're on the text list. Text the word morning to the number 87948, and I can send you the list. Also, I'll put it up today on B1 Nation. B1 Nation is kind of our platform. That's like it's an online community. There's about 61,000 of you on there, and you can pop in there, and I'll put it in the chat on B1 Nation today as well. So the URL for B1 Nation is b1nation.us, not .com, .us. So if you put b1nation.us, you have to answer a couple questions so we know you're a human, not a bot. That you're not going to troll and spam and solicit and all these other things. But it's a private community for the B1 Nation. So b1nation.us, not .com. So somebody type that in, please. And I'll put it up there today after class. What else did I want to mention to you all? I wanted to ask you all a quick question, just a tiny, quick little favor. Um, I'd like to get a sense of your experience in terms of, and then what we'll do is we'll do a Q and A, and I'll answer some questions about investing and stuff like that. In your affiliation with the Black Business School, I'm not going to do it as a poll. I actually, because of things like AI, I can actually get your comments and use the testimonials to kind of let people know how great the Black Business School is. Can you speak to your experience in the comments? Just write like a quick little comment. If you've been making money, say, but write it in complete sentences so it can actually be, sort of presented as a testimonial to anybody who's curious about the school. Just so if you say something like, "I make $3,000 a week selling stock options," comments like that are great because that shows that people are making real money, right? So and if you write it in there, and some of you are new, I would encourage the new people to look at the comments from the older people so you'll know what's real versus what's not real, right? So if you're making money, if you can mention something about that in the comments, like a quick little statement, really quickly, like right now. If your family is incorporating these ideas and it's making a difference, you put that in the comments and make it like a little bit of a longer sentence, like not just like it's all great, or it's going wonderfully, like something like literally specific, like I now have an extra $100,000 in my bank account because of my time here, right? Is that cool? Does that make sense? If you could do that for me, that would really help because then we can go in and kind of pull the comments and add those into a space where people that are new can go in and hear from you to just know what your experience has been like. So if you could do that for me really quickly, I would really, 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 really appreciate that. And that would really help the school to grow because one of the challenges that you run into, no matter is that racism is real for everybody, right? Racial discrimination is a complex thing because it doesn't just come from white people. sometimes it comes from black people, right? It's not just white people that believe that they're better than us. A lot of black people believe that others are better than us. So when I show up, if I show up as a black man who's a basketball player or a rapper or a thug or an NFL athlete, people would believe that I'm the best at what I do. If I'm a thug, I'm probably gonna be the best thug. If I'm a basketball player, I'm gonna be the best basketball player. But if I show up as, no, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a scholar, right? I think a lot of people don't believe it. It's like they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like I need to know when, I need to figure out when you're a fraud. I need to find out when you're, this, what you mean you running a school? You ain't got no real school. That ain't no real school. Well, what makes a real school? If you look at the history of institutions like Harvard, when I went to Harvard to visit with my wife and I went up there to visit D1. D1 was teaching at Harvard. D1, the rapper that we actually sponsored, his part of his tour. Um, I was looking up the history of Harvard in extreme detail, and my wife stopped and said, she said, "Well, what if, what if they invited us to come teach at Harvard? What would you do?" I said, "Why would I do that?" I said, I have a much more important job to do. I'm building an institution. And I said, "You do know Harvard, when they first started, they were a raggedy little school. Harvard was so raggedy that John Harvard, they have a statue of John Harvard on the campus. He didn't found that institution. They named the school after him because he gave them like a building or something. He literally gave them like one building. They were like, "Oh, well, we're so raggedy, we'll name the whole school after you." Right? And then over time, they got the support they deserved and they became what they were, they eventually became what they are now. But really, it starts with a core belief, the fulfillment of a need, and a set of standards, right? And basically, in the Black Business School, our standards are really high, and we have a clear focus. The focus is that we believe the Black community could be the most economically advanced community on the planet. We believe that if we put as much time into our economics as we put into basketball, football, twerking, rapping, cooking, and whatever else, what other things we do, I think we could be the best on earth at this. I know these things. And so really, the idea at that point is, are you committed to the standard? Just like we talk about investing, are we investing in the standard? If you invest in the standard, then it becomes real. Things that you invest in become real. Things that you don't invest in disappear. They don't become real. If there's a business, when Amazon got founded, if there were not people that invested and believed in the vision of Amazon, Amazon would not exist. Amazon did not exist it didn't get delivered by the gods. It got delivered by people's belief. Jeff Bezos would give a pitch and say, "I have a vision that one day we can buy books on the internet." It wasn't even about all the other stuff Amazon does. Literally, he's wanted to sell books on the internet. That was it. And he had 50 meetings, and each person invested like $25,000. They're all billionaires now, right? But he was literally begging people to give him $25,000, and he got the money, and then he got to work. And so he was the primary investor, and then as he invested more and made it more real, guess what? Other investors jumped on. Other people said, "Oh, well, you're really committed to this. This thing is really working. I want to invest too." And next thing you know, he's got this company first is worth $1 billion, then 10 billion, then 100 billion, then it's worth $1 trillion, right? Over time, right? So really, the reason that economic realities don't always manifest the way they should in our community is because we don't believe in investing in that reality. Nobody invests in the black community, including black people. Black people invest far more into the white community than they do into the black community, and that's why the white community thrives and the black community suffers. You invest when you spend money on purchases, you're making an investment. When you get up and go to work every day, you're making an investment. So really, if you think about this, of course, white wealth is going to be so high, incredibly high. They have all their money and all their investors, and then they get us to invest too, because we believe in this idea of white supremacy. We're trained on this from a very early age. So when I come along as a black guy, and I'm like, I got this thing called the Black Business School. We're built on the principles of Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. George Fraser, Harriet Tubman. Like this is what we do. This is who we are. You'd be amazed how many black people there are that they literally become frightened, who are just nervous about it. And it's typically a lot of times it might be black folks that have jobs and they have this feeling that if they identify too closely with what we do, that it's going to hurt them on their job, right? They might gain some respect for the fact that I taught at Syracuse University. They might gain some respect for the fact that I got my doctorate at Ohio State. But then when I start saying, well, we should claim our wealth, we should own things, that's when you run into barriers. I think sometimes self-esteem is huge. If you don't believe you're worthy of owning things, then you'll never own anything. If you don't believe that you're good enough, then you're not gonna ever be good enough. If you don't believe that you're worthy of wealth, you're not going to have wealth because you in your mind think about this. Look at how many parents feel like their children should make it out of the mud because they did. Like you don't deserve no wealth. You don't deserve to be comfortable. What's wrong with you, boy? What you mean you're gonna be secure and happy and confident? You can't be secure. You got to be anxious. You got to be stressed out. You got to be a bad situation away from prison or death or despair. Like you have to be stressed out. You have to be depressed like I was. You have to get it out the mud like me. Well, if you get it out the mud, then your kid shouldn't have to get it out the mud because you already got it out the mud. And you washed it off and you say, here, son, here's a clean football. Run with this ball because I got mine out the mud so you wouldn't have to. Whatever happened to that? Like whatever happened to really just sort of saying like you can still become a hard worker and have good values and do something meaningful without it being just full of stress and anxiety and desperation. There's so many things I had to do that out of financial desperation in my early 20s that were just a distraction from me trying to be my best self. I couldn't operate on this frequency because I had to go down here. I had to go figure out, I had to stop studying so I could figure out how to get the rent paid. So next thing you know, I'm working at Arby's or something, trying to get money to pay the rent when I could be sitting back studying mathematics or starting a business or doing high level things, working on my grad degree. But instead, I got to go get a shitty job somewhere because I need $500 to pay the rent because I ain't got nobody in my life that can loan me $500. Do you know how wonderful it would have been? I want you to think about this. How good it would have felt. I don't know how many. Maybe y'all didn't go through it like I did in your 20s. I don't know how many. Anybody else broke in their 20s? Anybody know what that feels like? How many? If you don't know what it feels like, God bless you. I'm happy for you. But I did, right? And so think about this. Anybody who was broke in their 20s, I want to ask you to imagine how great it would have felt if you had like an uncle or a parent or somebody where you could just say, "Hey, I need $750," and they were like, "No problem. The money will be here by 5 o'clock." Oh my God! Just thinking about that makes me breathe a sigh of relief because that would have been so nice because I wasn't doing bad things with my life. I was in grad school. I was teaching college students when I was 22 years old. I was I was pretty doing some exceptional stuff. And it would have been nice to have something or someone that could invest in me financially. I had love. My mother loved me. My father, gave me some guidance, and he loved me, but it was like kind of like that tough, police commander father love. It's gonna toughen you up, but it's a little traumatizing. But what I really needed as well was some economic love. I think economic love would have been extraordinary at that time because that would have allowed me to flourish and be able to put the money to the side and focus on bigger ideas. So really, when you master your economics and you master your financial security and you achieve your financial goals, um, you're not studying money for the sake of studying money. I'm not real interested in talking to you every morning at 10 a.m., 7 days a week about money so we can sit around here and worship money. Money is not a god. I want you to learn about money so you can forget about money. Do you understand? Like, I want you to have a life I want your children to have a life that is so privileged that money's not even something they even have to process. They're not, if they need to do something, the hard part for them will be figuring out what they need to do that's going to make them happy. That comes internally. That comes with the therapy and the meditation and everything else. And that's important. That's an important part of it. But the money won't be the block, the barrier. Do you understand? Like if you figure out like, oh, I think I need a vacation because I'm feeling a little bit stressed, the money won't be like, oh, I can't afford to go on vacation or I don't have the time to go on vacation because I got to go to work. No, I want them to be able to say, okay, I'm getting on an airplane tomorrow and I'm going to fly to the Bahamas and then I'll be better when I get back, right? So ultimately that's the goal of money in my opinion is that there's a whole universe of possibility that exists outside of money that we miss out on because money becomes the barrier to all that. Money's like a security guard that stands there and says you don't have the right to be happy because you ain't got enough money. Or you can't explore the best of who you are because you ain't got enough money for that. Or like our little girl wants to be a dancer And I don't want her to live in a world where it's like, well, you can't do what you love because you don't have money. So go be a waitress or something because dancing's not for you, you dumb little black girl. What's wrong with you? Up here acting white, thinking you can dance for a living. You don't have enough money to do that. No, I'll be damned if that's going to be her reality. It's like to hell, the world will never say that to you because I will always show you how to get money that you need so you can really do the things you want to do because I want you to be happy. I want you to be fulfilled, content with your life. Right. So what I want to do really for the rest of our session is I want to answer questions. Now, two types of questions I cannot answer right now because I don't have the stuff in place to do that. One is no questions about stock options, and two, because we are going to do stock option stuff. If you're doing stock options, I sent you some stuff that'll arrive this afternoon. I did a fast cash action play that you guys can implement. And then number two, don't ask about a specific stock because I don't have that information in front of me, so I can't look it up. We can do that at a different time. We have Stock Market Tuesdays on Tuesdays. You can go to drboystockmarket.com if you want to join the Stock Market Investors Club, if that's of interest to you. All right, so put your question in the Q&A section, and I will answer it there. Also, if you could, while I'm answering the questions, if you could write that little testimonial about how these experiences have changed your life, that would be really helpful. Maybe let us know what you're doing with your kids. Let us know how if you've been making money. I like the more specific you are, the better. If you don't mind sharing that. When I saw one guy who had $182,000 in his Robinhood account, and he said, "You did this," and I was like, "Well, I didn't send you a check for $182,000." Well, what he'd been doing was he'd been doing the $5 a day investing plan since 2017, and he had $182,000 in his account. So stuff like that helps because I find that when it comes to convincing people that the Black Business School is worth their time, that there is that sometimes if you just help people solve a simple problem like having more income, that goes a long way. So if you could put that in the comments, that would help me a lot, and just write it in there, write it as a complete sentence so it could be an actual testimonial if you don't mind sharing that. And I can have the thing scrape it out after we're done. All right. So here, Leroy Dawson, how would Orange desire to have control over digital currency affect the market? Oh, yeah. Well, the biggest conspiracy theory is that they're claiming they're using the digital currency to devalue the debt, and basically, they already use inflation to devalue the debt. And what that means is if someone loans you $100 and if they say, okay, give me back $100, but then by the time you pay the debt back, the dollar has a value that's much lower than what it was before, then they didn't really pay you back $100 in in the time specific way that you loaned it to them. A dollar in 2025 is not the same as a dollar in 2035. So I could give you $100 10 years later, but it's not really $100. It's something different from the $100 that you loan them because inflation eats away at money. And so the other thing about devaluing the dollar is everybody thinks falsely that when the dollar loses its value, that everyone loses. Everyone is suffering because of that. That's not true. If you export products to other countries, then a lower value on your currency helps you to export at a higher level. The Chinese devalue their currency all the time. They love when when the yuan or I don't know if it would be called the yuan or the renminbi. I always call it the renminbi, but you can also call it the yuan. They love it when the value goes down because they're then able to go and sell products around the world. And the Europeans are very unhappy with the Chinese because basically the Chinese because they manipulate their economy so much, they're able to go into Europe and just eat their lunch and sell like the best cars in the world at a super cheap price. So it's kind of a wild thing. If you want to do the $5 a day plan, go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com if that's of interest to you. Calvin McWilliams, please share your perspective on Nasir Jones, the rapper Nas, his approval of the casino in Queens. You know, I'm gonna tell you, I like Nas. I like him a lot. I probably like him more than Jay-Z. I don't know if it's just a better PR or what, but I feel like if you had gave me a choice, like you remember that question where people were like, would you rather have $500,000 or a dinner with Jay-Z? That to me, that was not a question. It's like, well, give me the freaking money. Shut up. Now, if you said, would you rather have $500 or dinner with Jay-Z, then that would have been a more complicated decision. But 500,000, I mean, come on now. But I like Nas a lot, and I think Nas is super smart, and he's been just a really great investor from what I heard. I heard he's positioned himself quite well. And I love to see all these rappers that are learning the values of their brands and how to monetize differently, and how investing is actually making them far more money than rapping ever did. It's beautiful to watch. Now, one thing that I cannot align myself with too much is I just I know too much when it comes to casinos. Casinos create gambling addictions. They create lots of social problems. Gambling destroys families. You know, if you ever want to destroy your life, just go get a gambling addiction. That'll take all your money, but it won't just take your money. It'll steal your soul. You know, you'll have your kids will be disappointed in you. Your wife will be mad. She's gonna leave you. You know, everything falls apart. I mean, gambling addictions are so horrible. It's almost like financial quicksand because once you get in the hole, you have to try harder. You take bigger risks to try to get out of the hole. And then it doesn't work out. You go on a bad losing streak. Next thing you know, you're in this really stressful, impossible situation. Like you owe $300,000, but you only make $40,000 a year. Well, how do you fix that? Well, then you have to go take more extreme risks. So next thing you know, you're dealing drugs and, you know, hoeing yourself out or whatever it is you got to do in order to get the money or stealing from your job. You look at all those stories of people that got caught stealing from their employer and got prison time, and a lot of times it was linked to a gambling addiction. That's why they say that you should not hire anybody. A lot of companies will screen their potential employees in financial positions to see if they have a gambling issue because they know that that's one of the few things that can make either that kind of addiction or drug addiction are the two types of addictions that will make people act out of character. It'll make a good person do something terrible because they put themselves in a bad hole. So that's why I think I think that my little gripe with some of the rappers is like, why do you always sell stuff that's not good for anybody? Like you're selling liquor over here. You used to be a drug dealer, now you're selling liquor, and then you start getting people to go to the casino. And I'll tell you this, I gained a lot of respect for that guy Kai Cenat. Again, now just to be clear, again, because I'm the asshole in the room, I know what a minstrel show looks like, and unfortunately, a lot of the guys, him and Drewski and some of the others, they don't know that what they're being paid to do. The reason they're the most popular on the internet is because white people have always loved a good minstrel show. And a minstrel show would be characterized by a loud, outrageous black person. You know what I mean? Like you gotta like be super crazy, and they love that stuff, right? And Dr. Claude Anderson talks about it in his books. Like the minstrels have always gotten paid. So that would be my one little thing I'd say that would probably make him never want to be my friend, but I have to be honest. But what I did like was he said that he got a big offer. I think it's $60 million to do to promote gambling. And he told Kurt Franklin he walked away. He said, "I realize all money ain't good money." I said, "Good. That's it. I wish more people said that." And I think that that was great. I think that was quite noble of him. And it's really, and I give him extra credit for the fact that most people don't know what it's like to turn down 60 million. Most people don't know that, right? But what they did was I'm suspecting is they were like, yeah, this guy can sell dope to our primary target audience. The primary target audience of gambling addictions is young men roughly between the ages of like 18 to say 32. Because their testosterone's really high. There's something about that that makes them want to take chances and get in risks. So when you watch these ads for these MGM and casino ads, notice who they have as the spokesperson. It's usually a male. A lot of times it's a black male. You'll have the Kevin Hart. I think Shaquille O'Neal did a deal. Jamie Foxx. Like that's a cash cow for them. But unfortunately, if you go talk to any therapist who works with gambling addicts, and they're going to tell you they hate it because they're basically drug dealers. They're dealing drugs. It's just legal. It's like an opioid thing, right? Opioids were different from crack because opioids were legal and everybody thought they were okay, but the devastation was unimaginable. And the fact that they're advertising gambling at football and basketball games is about the most sinister, evil, demonic shit I've ever seen. And I mean, I'm like, oh my God, like you're literally dangling the crack pipe in front of the drug addict, and I mean, I mean, come on, I just hate it. And you'll see, and give it like about 2 years, and suddenly they'll be like, oh my God, there's a gambling epidemic in America. Of course there was, jackass. We were telling you this. It's like when inflation got out of control. Everybody knew inflation was coming because of what the Fed's policy during COVID was so bad. They were pumping money into the economy. All the experts were saying, stop. you're gonna crash. This is bad. But they just kept doing it, and then guess what? Inflation's like sky high. Y'all remember that? And now the debt is like sky high, and everybody warned them about this while it was happening. So I think that my biggest pet peeve in the world is just really stupid people in powerful positions. I think that's probably my new pet peeve. Is like just dumbass decisions, and then later on they're like, "How are we gonna fix it? This is a terrible problem." By that time, I'm exhausted. I spent all my energy yelling for you to not do it. I ain't got time to go fix it now. It's like whatever. Keep destroying your country. Good luck. All right. So anyway, let me keep going. All right, so Christian Ray, and by the way, if you could, I just to remind, just I'm really asking again, could you please put your comment in there, that we could, if you don't mind us using as like a testimonial for the school. If you made money, I'd love hearing about when people are making money. If your wealth has gone up, please put a comment in there and make it like a full sentence so that when we pull it independently, it won't sound, it'll make sense to someone, right? So if you could do that, you could just put it right in the chat in the comments if you could. All right, so let's see. Christian Ray, thoughts on Trump looking to leverage crypto to ultimately offset the 35 trillion in debt? Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a lot of plans, and I think it's pretty clear, that his family is a great beneficiary of his position in the government. They're kind of openly and blatantly doing things that are highly untraditional and possibly illegal. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't, is he going to, is he trying to destroy the entire United States? I don't know. I just know whenever whoever is in office, there's always like sort of a counterculture that's saying they're secretly trying to destroy America forever, and they're going to do all these things. So people exaggerate, and that's why I don't like politics too much because I feel like people get so emotional that they don't listen to information anymore. They just tell you how terrible the other side is, and it's exhausting for me. I don't want. I just so I look at it as um yeah, he's getting rich from being president. And a lot of you are getting rich because he's president. I'm not saying that you should like the guy. I'm saying if you bought Intel when I told you that I was buying Intel, you made money. If you bought some of these other stocks, when we talked about it, you made money. So all I can do is help you make money. I can't change what Donald Trump does in office. How do you feel about ETFs, James Shabazz? I love ETFs. ETFs are amazing. If you text the word pledge to the number 87948 and do our 5-year pledge where you pledge to support your family and invest for your family, one of the things I'll send you immediately if you text pledge to 87948 is I will send you a link to a training I did on ETFs. And you can learn all the different types of ETFs, what they do for you, how they work. I spent an hour and a half doing this, and it's yours 100% free. So just text the word pledge to the number 87948. Don't put it in the chat, Gene. You got to text it on your phone to the phone number 87948. Let's see, Efren, what do I need to do first to get started in stocks? Well, if you put that word pledge in to 87948, I'll send you some stuff, and you'll get some other things, and that'll kind of help you. If you want to do something more direct, you can join our stock market club at drboystockmarket.com. Let's see here. Bridget Hunter, what are we doing with our funds saved in the 403b post retirement? I guess living off the money and then letting it grow while you live off of it. And then also I have some people that are using their 403bs or 401ks or borrowing against it to generate income by selling stock options. If you have capital, there's always ways to make money from that capital. It's just a matter of learning what you're doing so that you can be safe and conservative when you do it. But we do stock options regularly. We're going to do it this week. You can go to drboyceprime.com, drboyceprime.com. What's your daily routine with researching stocks? I take in all information. I've concluded that my optimal way of going through life is to take in as much information as possible from as many people as I can. So I also learned that even though I talk a lot, I talk too much. There are times where I'll consciously tell myself to shut up and listen, and because you gain more by listening than by talking. And so I listen. I just take in information. I want. What do you think? What do you think? When I sit with my team members and we're making decisions for the company, I just say, "What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I want to know what everybody thinks because then I can make the best decision with the most information." And so I would encourage you if you want to learn investing and pick your stocks, take in information. Look at different perspectives. Right now, if you go to my Instagram, I did put some stocks up there that I like and talked about them this morning. So follow my Instagram if you want some more information. Dr. Boyce Finance. That's my Instagram, Dr. Boyce Finance. Derek, I tried signing up for the b1nation.us account, but my account was declined. Can I sign up again? Yes, you can, Derek. And if you have trouble, make sure you answer the questions. I think if you got declined, it could be because the answers were not clear enough. Like we have to know that it's a person and that it's somebody from this community, not an outsider that's trying to come in and be disruptive. So take, there's three quick questions, but just be clear, like where you heard about it, stuff like that. Also, if it's a community for a certain class or something, you have to be a member of that class. So if you join the Prime community, you have to be a member of Prime. If you want to join the real estate community, you have to be in Constance Carter's real estate class. But you can join the economic elevation community because you're here. So when you get to the first page, there should be something there where you can fill out some information, b1nation.us, and that's where you can actually sign up. And then Amani will go in and look at the questions and let you in based on that. Let's see. How will you be able to expand the BBS? Will there be any designated locations such as Tuskegee, as mentioned from the A, B, and C? Yeah, we right now we bought some land in Detroit, so we're looking to do some stuff there. We're also looking to get some space in LA to have, and then also Atlanta. So those are three cities that we looked at a lot. Tuskegee's still on the list as well. And so yeah, we're trying to consider other ideas, like maybe someone mentions franchising regularly, and it's really a matter of coming up with a model that actually makes sense and works. And then also when you start something, sometimes you got to focus on the thing you started before you move to the other thing you want to start. If you start 50 things at once, it can become overwhelming. So like one thing that I really wanted to try to consider and throw out there for you is this idea of you forming, investment clubs in spaces in your own communities. And we become a supplier. Like we give you a special discount where you can buy our stuff super cheap and then use that as a profit center for yourself to offer these supplies, almost like Tupperware parties in a way, where you can like say, order my book and I sign it and I give you an autographed copy of my book. And let's say your first one of your first meetings you do, or your first set of meetings, you read through the book, and I sign it, and you can resell it and sell it at a profit, that kind of thing. So if that's of interest to you, if you go to let me see here, if you text the word wealth to the number 87948, there is kind of like a ambassadors club there, and that'll give you some special access to discounts. So text wealth to 87948. That's the number all the time. So it's just different strands of things you might want to do. But remember, the more stuff you sign up for, the more you're gonna hear from me. Because I'm pretty consistent and persistent about talking to you about wealth all the time and letting you know, hey, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. And I just do that because I believe in order to be great at something, you got to be obsessed with it, right? So I'm obsessed with this. This is really important, and I think that you should be obsessed with your family, obsessed with your legacy, obsessed with your success. If racism bothers you, you should be obsessed with overcoming it and not letting anybody stop you. You should be obsessed with education, right? Think about it. We're obsessed with music, and people. I see a lot of people that are interested in Cardi B's relationship, right? We're obsessed with sports. I hear guys all the time who argue for 3 hours about whether the Cowboys can beat the Giants, right? So why not be obsessed with our economics and our community and investing in ourselves and what that looks like? Okay, so I am obsessed with it. I'm an absolute lunatic when it comes to this stuff. All right, so let's see here. How will you be able to? Oh, you already asked about the BBS. Okay. Would you be looking for volunteers within the future? What we do every year at the All Black National Convention, we do have volunteers. We're going to be in Brooklyn next year, and so you can get your passes at allblacknationalconvention.com. By the way, the early bird discount, allblacknationalconvention.com. And right before the convention, we usually send out a call for volunteers. So that's one area we could use volunteers. That's pretty much the main thing. Let's see here. Are we able to purchase a portion of a stock as Tyrone? Yes. Those are called fractional shares. You can go in and you can buy a piece of a stock. You don't have to buy a whole share. So a lot of times people will buy cheap stocks like $10 stocks because they feel like that's all they can afford. And it's not true. You can afford a $10,000 stock. You'll just get a piece of it, but the ownership stake doesn't change. The price is kind of an illusion, right? If I wanted people to think my stock was cheap, I could do a stock split and reduce the price to $10 a share versus $1,000 a share. But it's the same stock. You get the same amount of ownership when you buy. If you buy $12 worth of that company, you're getting $12 worth of that company, and that's it. That's it. And so keep that in mind as you buy stock. Do we have dates yet for the convention? Yeah, the weekend of October 16th. It's going to be in Brooklyn. We're just negotiating to find a space. Brooklyn is not cheap. So that's one thing that we're running into is like, holy crap. I think I spoke too soon. So many of the quotes we've gotten back from Brooklyn have been like outrageous. So actually, if you know a place that could be a good place to consider for the convention, send an email to support@theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. Yeah, because we can use help on this because I didn't know Brooklyn was like crazy expensive like that. And someone said, "Well, why don't you go to Jersey City?" And I'm like, "No, because we said Brooklyn. If we say Brooklyn, we got to go to Brooklyn." So that's my goal. Brooklyn's my first choice. Basically, the space would have to hold at least 600 people, and have at least a hotel nearby. We don't want thousands of people at the convention. We were growing pretty fast. But I was like, I don't really, I like Invest Fest, but I don't want to have Invest Fest. I don't want to have a festival and something that's massive and big. I like the intimacy of it. So our convention has more of a family reunion feel. Every single speaker that's there, you can walk right up to them and talk to them after that. It's kind of hard to do that in Best Fest because there's so many, and I love it though, but it's a different kind of vibe. And also it's something where it's more so for people that are a little bit, say over 35. And we're incorporating young people because we want young people to learn from older people. We don't. I think young people bring new ideas, and I think that that's good. But every new idea is not better than what your grandma or your uncle or your father or your mother could share with you, right? Like I think sometimes we get obsessed with newness. We think, oh, the youth know all the answers, and the youth they're bringing in the new trends. Some of the new trends are stupid. Let's just be honest. Some of the new trends that we get caught up in and are excited about are not healthy. And I don't know if we want to just follow everything that's trendy. I don't believe in that. Give me 1 second. I gotta plug this laptop up. Hold on. There we go. Here's my plug. I'm getting this notification. But really, so it doesn't mean young people shouldn't be heard. I'm not saying that. I think we should listen to young people because they have courage and creativity and they can take things to the next level. But young people need to listen to the elders too. Like really, think about this. We were the young people, with Gen X's, when we were coming along in the 80s, we're like, we're the youth and blah blah blah, and you're old fashioned and we were being sucker punched. We were being sucked right into a vacuum cleaner. We kind of came up in the era where people started to trade, land and businesses for student loans and corporate jobs. We were the ones who believed that affirmative action would be here forever, and there's all these false flags that distracted us. It was my grandmother who was born in the Great Depression who always knew you better not be trusting these white folks like that because they will chew you up and spit you out and throw you out the window and care nothing about it. And so because and also my grandmother was very conservative. She saved her money. She had a simple financial process where she was always financially secure because she knew wasn't nobody gonna come save you. Ain't no integration gonna save you. And so my point is to say that there were some areas where I helped my grandmother. For example, I got her to consider the stock market. She was always afraid of the stock market. I wrote a dissertation on it. So I was able to convince her the stock market wasn't the devil. But don't make no mistake about it. When I was at my wisest, I would get on the phone with my grandma. When I took my job on the faculty at Syracuse University, I had a whole doctorate in this stuff. I didn't get on the phone with grandma thinking I was smarter than her. I didn't get on there like, well, grandma, you're old fashioned and you're stupid, so I need to explain to you how to catch up with the time. No, I said, how did you, as a single mother raising 5 kids, how did you pay off your car, pay off your house, have perfect credit, and all that money in the bank? How did you do that? What is your system? That's wisdom. She didn't get that from school either. That wisdom is powerful. Why? Well, because it got results. A lot of people go to school their whole life and can't even get results in their own life. Look at how many people who even know what to do, who've been trained on all this stuff, have all this education. Someone went to Harvard and are still underwater financially. There are Harvard graduates with advanced degrees who can't figure out how to pay the damn bills. That tells you that there's a difference between what you learn in school and what you actually learn to apply. This means there's a gap because we are the most educated Negroes in the history of Black people, right? We got all the degrees, all the credentials, but somehow you're not where you want to be. Maybe somehow you're stuck. I would argue that the elders are the ones who understand the answer to some of these questions. It doesn't mean we can't contribute, but sometimes you got to shut up and listen to grandma. Shut up and listen to your grandfather explain to you what a man used to do back in the 1950s. Listen to your grandma about how a woman used to treat a man back in the day and what it meant, how to keep a man, right? I just really think all these conversations are relevant. I think we don't listen and we come along with our own ideas and don't know our butts from a hole in the ground. And it makes us look stupid. I don't know. But where's my evidence? My evidence is all the millions of people out here in our community who are online trying to figure it out, trying to figure out how do I have a good relationship, trying to figure out how do I get money, trying to figure out how do I find happiness. I'm so depressed right now. I think that the elders are important. So this is my point with the convention is that I want young people involved and I want them to lead, but I want them to lead where they're supposed to lead. And then I want the elders to lead where they're supposed to lead. Do you understand? Like when I get on the phone with Dr. Claude Anderson, I'm not leading this man. This man is leading me. He's telling me things that I will never know because I don't know what it was like to live in a booming black neighborhood in the 1950s. But he does. So let's learn from each other. I think that's how you have a prosperous community. You have a productive, knowledge-based ecosystem where we're sitting down and we're listening to each other and learning from each other. Just like I learned from my wife, I learned from the kids, I learned from my parents, but they also are going to learn from me. Yeah. All right, let me keep going. Jasmine says, can you create a trust that invests in the stock market? Yes. For hundreds of years and pay your family? Yeah, you can. Absolutely. You absolutely can. Or do you have to have an actual person manage that portion of the trust? No, you can have companies that manage trust. Companies and entities live longer than a person anyway. So that might be something worth looking at. I did a breakdown of like 100-year plan for your family. If you go to economicelevationcircle.com, that's where we do a lot of the stuff on estate planning, or economicelevationcircle.com. We do economic elevation circles once a month, and that's where you bring your trust issues and stuff like that, and we just kind of talk it through. Let's see. Deanna Hodges, since the shutdown's expected, would it be feasible to take profits and get back in on the dip? I don't really do a lot of profit taking. What I tend to do is when I want to get cash, I try to see if I can go sell a stock option, and that's what I did that this morning. I needed $5,000 to do something that I wanted to do, and I just found what was the stock? I think it was Oklo. Oklo went up, and I sold a deep long term out of the money call option on Oklo with a strike of $200, and I got I think $3,999 for it or something. And I did that. And what I was basically selling was not the stock. I still own the stock, but I sold a little bit of the upside, right? Which means that if the stock hits 200, I have to sell it at 200, but it's at 115 now. So if it goes up to 200, I've made $85 a share. I don't care, right? I'll say you can have it for 200. Okay. So that's like a good way to pull cash out without actually having to sell stock. And they that method is partly what they call a collar, or in class you might have heard me use that term, Dr. Boyce cashback, and it's a way to reduce your risk and exposure, where you can be cautiously optimistic about an investment. So we're going to meet for Prime class soon. If you want to join us, feel free to go to drboyceprime.com, drboyceprime.com. Is an IUL a good way to invest? I think I put IULs in the category of being better than nothing. IULs, I don't have anything against IULs. IULs are basically like if you know anything about stock options, an IUL is kind of, I thought about this yesterday. It's pretty much a collar. It's a collar because what happens with a lot of IULs is they'll say you can't lose money, but your returns are capped. They have to do that to make it profitable for themselves. And then they'll charge like a transaction fee, and that's how they make their money. They make their money through the fees mostly and by investing the money that you give to them. Um, IULs are fine for people who don't do anything else. The key idea is that you have to have some type of investing strategy in order for your wealth to grow. So if you have nothing, I think IULs are extraordinary. I don't have an IUL, but not because I have anything against it. It's just because I got other stuff going on. I have a lot of other investments out there, right? But I don't hate IULs. I think I like IULs also is because it does something that's really important for your financial security. It creates an annuity that is in your favor. Because so instead of you being sucked dry financially by other people that are using you to create an annuity for them, you're actually creating an annuity for yourself. And what is an annuity? An annuity is a set of payments that are consistent over a long period of time. So all of you create annuities for other people. You really give a lot of financial security to others. The cell phone company gets you as a customer, and then they know that they have an annuity. They have spreadsheets where they calculate monthly recurring revenue that comes from the annuity that you created for them. You're paying your cell phone bill every month, your car note every month, stuff like that. And so the economic engine that you want to have work in your favor is some annuity that's benefiting you. I'm not saying go out and buy an annuity. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that the 5-year pledge is built on creating an annuity for you and your family. It's just like a pipeline. It's like a financial pipeline that's just pumping oil and gas into your economic engine, which will allow you to go further. Because most people's economic engines are depleted because they're sort of throwing money in that direction and they're not receiving it. But if you have a good annuity that's sturdy and consistent, that works in your favor, then what will happen is your wealth will just grow and grow and grow. It's just like pumping air into a air mattress or something. The more you pump the air, the bigger the thing will inflate, and so that's literally what it is. It's so an annuity is something that everybody should have. Every child in any community that has parents that want him to be economically safe should have some sort of annuity that they create for him that comes from them, that comes from their paycheck. Meaning you are the bank, you are the employer, you are the whatever. And what you're doing is you're pumping that money into the market consistently, 200, 400, $500 a month. I like 500 because that's the average car note in America. You do that for that newborn baby. That baby, by the time he's 25, he will be rich. He will never have to work for anybody. He's going to be financially secure. He will be solid. Solid. So all you got to do, it's easy, right? All you got to do is love your child as much as you love your car. If you love your children as much as you love your car, then you're going to succeed. If you don't love your kids as much as you love your car, then you probably need a therapist. All right. So let's see here. Will you please explain the $5 day plan? Well, that's kind of what it was. It's the annuity idea, Margaret. That's pretty much where that comes from. Let's see, Dwayne. What is a safe ratio to have a margin to equity on Robinhood? Oh, great question. I would say in terms of what you should own versus what should be out there, it varies. I would say in terms of spending power, I think whatever your investing capital is, whatever your investing equity is, I think having the buying power number, keeping that above like 30% of your total investing equity keeps you pretty safe from most margin calls. So that means if I've got 10,000 total in equity and I've got 3,000 in buying power, I'm usually safe from the margin calls. But if the stocks drop, especially if they're riskier stocks, then you get closer and closer to hitting that negative buying power, which is when they do the margin call, which means you either have to sell stock or you got to put more money in. How do I get a class on the Black Business School? I've been inquiring since A, B, and C for help. Well, you know what, Lawrence? A couple things you can do. One, you can go to theblackbusinessschool.com. If you ever want to look around and just see what's there, you can go to theblackbusinessschool.com. Or if you want to join my stock market class directly, you can go to drboyceprime.com. That's my options class. That's probably the most popular one. Everyone likes that because we can jump in and generate income almost immediately. So drboyceprime.com. And also just a quick reminder, if you haven't done it yet, if you could put your little testimonial in the comments, that will be good, and that we can save all that. We can document that. So a testimonial about how the Black Business School has helped you. If you're making more money, I definitely want to hear that. And I like specifics if you don't mind sharing. Like when we went to Egypt and a guy came up and said, I make $3,000 a week selling stock options. I love stuff like that because the goal is money. Like I want you to have more money. I want you to see something in your life that's better and different because you're here. I don't want you to say, I learned a lot. That's good. That's the first step. The first step is learning, the next step is applying, and then the next step is getting results. So think of our morning class like a gym membership, right? Learning how to get in shape ain't the same as actually going to the gym. And going to the gym ain't the same as actually seeing results. So this is like financial fitness. That's why we do it every morning at 10 a.m., just like I work out every day. When I worked out every day, first I had to make a decision to do that and then learn what to do when I was at the gym, right? So that's maybe two steps. Then I had to just consistently do it after I made my decision. And I didn't see results though. For a long time I was still fat even though I was working out. And then the last part was I started looking in the mirror and I noticed a handsome, sexy hunk of a man in the mirror. And my wife noticed him too. And I said, yeah, that's right. I've been going to the gym because you are a result of what you do consistently. So I want you thinking about your finances consistently. I want you investing consistently. I want you to do things consistently. They're going to elevate your condition, and I promise you that will get you results. but you can't just sort of think about it and learn it. You can't just hope for it, pray for it. You got to do it, okay? And do it consistently. All right, Akila, is it okay for Jay-Z to ask people to invest $500 into his casino idea and it's not on the stock market? Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. It's not, there's nothing magical about an investment with Jay-Z. The only magical thing about it is if you really like Jay-Z and you really feel compelled for whatever reason to be a part of what he's doing, that's cool, but it's not going to necessarily make more money. You know, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying there's nothing special about it unless you really just have an affinity for Jay-Z. Also, I'm not a fan of private equity investments. I like public markets because I can get my money out whenever I want. It's right there. If I want my money out of the market, I can hit a button, boom, boom, boom. It's in my account that day. You do like these private equity investments, like your cousin starts a liquor store and you give them their life savings to start the liquor store. You kind of might want to kiss that money goodbye because even though you might own it, and even if he runs it well, it's gonna be very hard for him to give you all your money back, right? Because he would have to have extensive access to capital markets to be able to pay you. Like think about it. It's almost like when one way people lose a lot of money when they get divorced is they might like own a house together, and one person has to buy the other person out of the house. Let's say they do that. I'm gonna stay here with the kids, so I'll buy out your half. Well, it's hard for them to do that if they can't get access to a bank that will loan them the money or some sort of, some sort of a home equity loan or something that would lets them do that. If they can't get access to capital markets, they're kind of stuck. So access to capital markets is really a big part of safe investing, whatever that looks like. In fact, if I was to write a reparations package, I would require the banks to allow all black business owners full access to capital, like hundreds of thousands of dollars if they need it. So, all right, Tiffany, what is your understanding of the Magna Carta as it related to Africa, the United States, and slavery? Oh, good question. Oh, my goodness. I don't know anything. I'm gonna write that down. I have nothing to say on that. So great question, Tiffany. You have officially left me speechless. All right. So now I see somebody wrote 2,200 in terms of how much money they made. If you could say something like, I made $2,200 from my investments, or I made $5,000 this year, or I made 3,000 a week selling stock options, specific stuff really helps. So if you could put that in the comments, that would be cool. I'd appreciate that. If you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, that's okay. Jamie Jones, would you sell some of your Oklo stock to take advantage of the current increase? You know what? I think what I didn't sell the stock. I sold options on the stock, but I didn't sell the stock because I feel like this stock has more room to run, possibly. If what they say they're going to be able to do happens, then it could explode. It could be a $700 stock at some point, $1,000 stock. Nobody knows that. Let's see. Thank you, Jen. Great. BBS brings me a weekly income of at least $500 a week with my investing partner, Leilani. That's what I was looking for right there, right? Everybody look at what Jen wrote. And like, that's a good testimonial. That's something we can actually use. So if you could do that for us, we would be so appreciative. Tammy, Dr. Boyce, what's the best way to guide younger family members like my 25-year-old son so they can build strong financial habits early and avoid some of the mistakes I made when I was younger? I would say sometimes you have relatives that don't want to listen. It's not preparation is not trendy and sexy and cool. It's what's more trendy is like letting bad things happen and then complaining about it, and then everyone says, "Oh yeah, of course your life is hard because you're black. It's hard being black out here, right?" So you're usually if you hold a pity party you're going to get more attendees than if you hold a preparation party. The pity party, you'll have everybody will show up for that. But when you have the preparation party, don't nobody won't come to that, right? But that's human nature. Human beings have a hard time with delayed gratification, just generally speaking, especially in a high dopamine ADHD kind of world. Um, so I think I don't know how to make people do things they don't want to do. I can incentivize and perhaps persuade. But I'm only going to spend so much energy trying, and what I have seen that has worked is one, you usually have somebody in your family that wants to learn and wants to grow, and I like to pour my energy into those people, the ones that want to connect and build. It's like, great, let's do this. I'm going to pour into you. I'm going to really make this worthwhile for you. When I have somebody that doesn't want to listen, and I want to make them listen, then maybe I wait for opportunities. Like so, what'll happen is like as you start making money doing the things that we talk about, then eventually that person may come along and ask you for a favor. Because and who knows, maybe their life strategy is actually working for them. And that's the first thing. Like I don't assume that my approach to the world is the only way to be successful. If what you're doing is working for you, then do it. Like some people say, well, Dr. Boyce wants all black people to quit their jobs. No, I don't. If you like your job and it's giving you enough money and happiness and fulfillment and you're content with that, stay there. Keep doing what you're doing. Right? I'm only here for people that say, gosh, this sucks. I want something different. And then I say, oh, well, come on into the church. Let me show you around, right? That's it. I'm not really here to convert anybody from whatever they believe in. If it's working for you, then it should be working for you. But what happens a lot of times is I'll have relatives that will blow off what I'm doing. It happens to everybody. If it's happened to you, join the club. Happens to me all. I got relatives that don't care anything about what I'm doing over here. Um, and then what'll happen though is when they see that you're making all this money, that's when they're going to show up and ask you for a favor. They're going to say, "Hey, I need to borrow $2,000. Can you help me out?" And and my first reaction is, "Hell no, I told you so." My second reaction might be if I love them, if it's somebody I care about, I might say, "I'll help you a little bit, but I need you to do something for me." Because if you're committed to fixing this issue, then I can invest in you in such a way. I'll put my money where my mouth is to incentivize you in a way where your life can be better. But I understand very deeply on an academic level, in a spiritual level, and an intellectual level, that money is power. And I'm not going to give you my power without you conceding something that's going to make me feel better about this conversation. So I'm not just going to give you this money. So you can go out, what are you going to do? Go out and just create the same problem again because you haven't paid the cost to be the boss. That's the thing. And you want to do what you want to do, but then you want me to fund you doing what you want to do, even though I don't agree with what you're doing. I don't invest in actions and activities that don't align with what I believe is best. So if you want my money, we're gonna have to do it my way. Because I right now I have the leverage, I have the power. You came to me, I did not come to you. And so it might be something basic, like, okay, I want you to read this book. Here's a Dr. Claude Anderson book. Read the book, come back to me, I'll give you some money. We're having a family investment meeting. Come to the meeting and I'll pay you for your time. Or I need help. I need someone to help me get certain things done. Come work with me and I'll pay you to come work with me. And then at the same time, when you're working with me, I know that I'm also teaching you because we're just doing. I'm teaching by doing. I'm not teaching by teaching. Do you understand? So when you get that money, I believe that it's okay for you to accept the fact that you will become one of the most powerful people in your family. I believe that that's critical. And so when you become one of the most powerful people in your family, I encourage you to use that power in a way that's going to guide the family in a way that's going to be beneficial to them. Um, you know, the thing that we forget is that power doesn't just come with having a title. Power comes with actually having true power, the ability to move people, the ability to make incentivize certain behavior. Like I see men sometimes they're like, yeah, I want a woman to submit and I want to have, authority and power in my family. But I don't understand how you can expect to have power when you don't present yourself as a powerful person. I think you have to train yourself to obtain power and train yourself to manage and yield power in a productive way. I do believe that. So I take I take it very seriously that as I lead my household, that I am an educated person. I want to be super educated, super wise, super insightful, as much as I can possibly be, because that will give me a certain amount of power and authority. I can show up and I can say, my idea is not an idea we should consider just because I said it. You should consider my idea because you know it came from a place of deep reflection from a man who's disciplined about that, committed to that. Um, Also, economic power. I see it happen all the time. Sometimes, if somebody has a need, like if they need water, if they need food, they're more likely to listen to you if you can help them get food because they're not trying to solve or become whatever you want them to become. They're trying to like not be hungry in that moment. So the first thing I got to do if I want you to listen to me over here is I got to help you solve this problem over there. And that's me showing love for you. So I showed love for you. I give you food. And then after I give you food, you trust me now. Because you know that I have power because I have the ability to help you solve critical problems in your life. Does that make sense? Like I think I'm just really processing this, but really I think it's really interesting. Like we don't I think proving yourself is the idea. That's the point. Like I proved to my daughter, like, hey, hey, I need you to allow me to influence you because you have this issue here, and I fixed that issue for you. So because I did that, I've shown you that I'm a competent person in your life that can actually help you to achieve whatever goal matters for you. Do you follow me? So I think that is more meaningful than just saying, well, because I said so, and because I'm the man of the house and I'm the dad, and you got to do what I say. Some people are stupid. Some people, why would you listen to somebody who don't know what the hell they're doing, who's incompetent, who can't actually get results and solve a problem? So that's why, and I do that even in this room. I do this in this room. I say, okay, I need you to hear me when I talk, and the way I want you to hear me is I'm going to share things with you that I want you to go test. And if they work for you, then let's talk again. And I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to believe whatever you want to believe. But when I show you certain results that are actually effective, then that means I don't have to convince you of anything at that point. You're like, okay, this person can make my life better. And to me, that's better than me giving you a freaking stupid fancy speech. God dang it, there's so many people in our community that all they can do is give a freaking, I'm sorry, I'm mad, a fucking speech. I cuss sometimes. I can't help it. I hate that. It drives me crazy. We got so many fast speaking Negroes, slick talking, inspirational, whatever. Hallelujah, that's Lord. And then you're like, you get in the damn car and your life is the same as it was before. These are not problem solvers. I want problem solvers in my life. That's it. I want competent people who are going to follow through and take us from point A to point B, whatever that means for you. And I don't even know if we get that because we're so doped up on the high of being inspired that we're not even pulling out the freaking measuring stick. I want you to pull out the ruler and say, okay, you said we'd go 12 inches out. We only went one. There's an issue here. There's a gap. Right? Right. So solve the freaking problem, man. That's what I encourage everybody to. If you want to be powerful, solve problems and learn how to make people's lives better, including your spouse, your children, etc. That's why I believe in simple things like, like I don't know, like when they have songs like "Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent." I kind of always thought it's like, okay, it's logical, right? If you date a woman and she's having trouble paying the bills and you help her pay bills, then she's probably gonna be more interested in you. Why would she be interested in you if she's got to date you and figure out how to pay the bills after you leave? I just think little things like that, like figuring out what someone needs and helping them to get there, is a great way to establish influence in that person's life. So to answer that question, this will be the last question we answer. We've been talking for a while. Um, when you got those relatives that are not in alignment with what you're doing, offer support, improve your life, look for opportunities. When they come to you and they need help, use that influence you have, that power you have to help make their life better, but at the same time, expect something in return, right? Use that power that you have to influence them and don't stress yourself out trying to preach the gospel to somebody who don't want to hear it. If they don't want to hear it, that's okay. Bless them and release them. Focus on the good people around you that are really getting it done. All right. So I'm done talking. I over talked that last question. I apologize for that. I hope this discussion was helpful for you, and thank you to those of you that left your comment testimonials in the chat. I'll leave this open for a second. If you could like write a quick little, if you haven't done it yet, if you could write a couple sentences about how the Black Business School, the classes that you participated in, have helped you in a concrete, meaningful way, that would really mean a lot. And the more specific, the better. Like, you talk about the money you're making or what's happened with your investments in the stock market, or if you bought Oklo stock with us back when it was $10 a share and now it's 130 something. Like, just share that if you could. And that is stuff that we're actually going to use to as testimonies for the school. So that would help us so much. So I'll leave this open for a minute while I run to the bathroom. Then I'll shut the Zoom down a couple minutes after we end. All right. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. I will see you tomorrow. If you're not in the class in the morning, you want to come to the private Zoom, text the word morning to the phone number 87948. So text morning to 87948, and I will invite you. Also, the Black Family Conference, it's going to be in October. It's going to be digital, so you can do it from anywhere. You can go to blackfamilyconference.com. That's blackfamilyconference.com. I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Have a great day. Thank you for listening. Peace.